Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're back in War Thunder with a live commentary. I'm going to be flying the Boston Mark 1, which was basically the prize you got for doing the D-Day challenges over the last few days. And luckily I was able to do them. The killing stuff was quite easy. Basically for the planes, I just rolled up my Russian biplanes and basically tore the new PlayStation 4 players a new one. Obviously, I'm not very proud of what I did, but when you want to get a plane, the Boston, then I could have done it flying realistic or doing the normal stuff, but it would have taken twice as long. And then for the tanks, just arcade stuff using the Panzer IIIs and the Panzer IVs. It's very fun to do. After doing the review on that Panzer III, I've basically been making sure I know the ins and outs of the Panzer IV, the Aus F1 and F2, because I don't know, I'm still struggling with it. I'm still wondering which is the better one, or even if there is a better one. Now I've been comparing it to the Russian tanks. It's giving me a headache, trying to work it out, because obviously looking at its BR 3.3. I think I'd rather be using a KV-1, but that's just my opinion at the moment. But I'm going to talk about a variety of things in this one. Not really going to focus on the gameplay that much, and just going to give some thoughts. First of all, I think putting together the tank review went pretty well. It was long, like an hour and 10 minutes. If people want to watch, the whole point, the whole reason I put timestamps in the description and also split up the video in that way is so if you only want to see like the arcade review or the simulator review for it, that's all you have to do. So that's like if some of you guys are worrying about, oh, the length is too long or whatever, basically if you want to see certain parts of it, just watch those parts and don't watch others. I'm not really bothered about it. The whole point is to educate you guys into what I believe the tank or the plane is like, so even if it is over an hour, that's completely fine for me. It just means that I have a lot more to talk about, which is always good. This plane seems to have the old A20G flight model. Or it might not. It seems that way, the way it's like climbing and everything like that. But anyway, yeah. I'm going to be trying to still do the plane review on a Saturday and tank review on a Sunday. Every so often I might not be able to do both a week, because when you think about it, that's basically 2 hours of editing and audio. Well, here's the thing, okay? Try and talk for 20 minutes straight about one thing. And then I think you'll understand sometimes how hard it is to try and voice your opinions, because obviously even in a review and when I finish it and stuff, I feel like I've missed out some stuff. But the good thing is with editing I can always add it back in and do stuff like that. God, this thing is very maneuverable, which is kind of worrying. The 7.7s are quite nice, but obviously I'd rather have 50 cals with the A20G Havoc. But still, this thing isn't anything to laugh at. Another thing I want to talk about briefly, I don't want to get into too much in-depth because, well, I think it's pretty obvious in my mind what it's like. But if you do want me to go more in-depth, then I can do another video like this solely on this topic. But it's the whole idea that I've been talking to a lot of people who I used to play World of Tanks with, and I've also been talking to people on the forums on War Thunder, and even on my videos and messages and such, where a lot of people are trying to compare the War Thunder ground forces to World of Tanks. Now, for me, they are fundamentally completely different games. Even though they're both tank games, they're not. There's hardly any similarities. I mean, obviously, you have like damage models and stuff like that. But World of Tanks is it is an arcade game. You have health bars on a tank. And I hate it when people on the forums in War Thunder are like going, oh, why am I getting one-shotted by this 75mm donkey gun? And it's like, well, that happened in real life, you know. I mean, all you have to do is look for the battle, like for Africa, and look how the the British had they had some tanks which had 37mm, and they had to go up against Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs, and just talk to them about how fair the fights were, and how if you get hit in the ammunition and it blows up, you are dead. Like, that's how it is in warfare. Like, sometimes you just get unlucky. And I don't like the fact that a lot of people are talking about how this is a bad thing, because even though a lot of people will say it's not really true, but in my opinion, Gaijin have tried to strive for realism, obviously with their flight models, their damage models, the way they're going. And with every iteration of this game, every update, every patch, it gets more and more to the point of realism. Every time something is updated, like a flight model, or every time you add in a new aircraft, which was at certain battles, you know, basically they're adding in more content to make it closer to how it was, which is nice. And I know a lot of people will disagree because they release stuff sometimes unfinished and everything like that, but I can deal with that. I know that I understand that I'm not the only guy in the player base, and a lot of people in the player base basically just want new content all the time to keep them involved and enticed, where there's another section of the community would rather wait for new content and until it's properly done on, which that's the side I'm basically on. I like that way, but I'm not going to convince the other people otherwise, so there's no real point. But anyway, talking about World of Tanks. World of Tanks, the only way you could really compare World of Tanks to War Thunder is maybe in the arcade battle mode. The way that the spotting mechanics works is completely different. The way that even the tanks work is completely different. And the one crowning thing that annoys me when people try and compare World of Tanks to War Thunder Ground Forces is you've got to remember World of Tanks has been around for a hell of a lot longer. They've had a hell of a lot of issues in the past. The fact that paying for like gold ammo was a thing. The fact that you were basically you could pay to win if you wanted to. They've had a lot of balancing issues with certain tanks. They're struggling right now with scout tanks, like light tanks, because they don't really have a place in higher tier games. So they're doing all these things. They're changing constantly. And I think they're at like update 9.0 or something, and they've had many, many updates trying to sort stuff like this out. And that's the thing. War Thunder has just come out of closed beta. And arguably, it should have been in closed beta a bit longer. But you've got to compare that to when World of Tanks just came out of closed beta and what it was in, like what state it was in. You can't compare what World of Tanks is now to what War Thunder is now. Because the thing is, they're not the same company, they're not the same developers. You can't expect War Thunder to do in one update what has taken World of Tanks a very, very long time. And there's a lot that people expect from War Thunder Ground Forces. I mean, the first time it was teased, the whole the graphics and everything, everyone was amazed. And on Ultra and on High, it looks absolutely amazing. And in a way that people could say that had prompted people who make World of Tanks to basically have to put those HD graphics in, which they are putting in, and stuff like that. Let's try and get away from this guy. what I could do is drop my bombs off, which may help. So we'll do that. But yeah, you can't really compare the two, because they are fundamentally different games. A lot of people talk about how stupid it is in War Thunder that you can repair on the battlefield, basically. But then, I don't really have a problem with that, because there is only a certain point you can get to with realism. People don't want to get tracked and then just have to sit there for the remainder of the match. And then people say, oh, well, World of Tanks system is better. What do you mean you can buy consumables, which somehow, if your commander is wounded, you can make him magically better? And then you have the same fire extinguisher idea, and you have this idea that you can repair parts of your tank basically within a second. Do you think that's good? I mean, for me, I'd rather have a kind of delay thing, but that's just me. I understand a lot of players like the idea of World of Tanks because it's very fast-paced. I'm definitely more of a tactical and methodical player, which is why I prefer realistic and simulator. But I hate it when people try and compare the two, because it is literally impossible. They are such different games. They do have some aspects which are very, very similar, of course. I mean, they're both World War II tank games. But fundamentally, they are massively different. The core mechanics are different. So, just stop it. I mean, I understand that supposedly Ground Force's biggest competitor is obviously World of Tanks. So that's where people like to compare them. It's kind of like when people compare Call of Duty to Battlefield 3. Like the new, like Ghosts, they compare Call of Duty Ghosts to Battlefield 4. It's either 3 or 4, whatever was the latest game. And you can't really do it, because they're built on different, like, opinions. They're built on different gameplay mechanics. When I played Battlefield Bad Company, in my opinion, one of the funnest, like, campaigns ever, like, in FPSs. Obviously the story was kind of crooked, but I mean, just out of I had a great time with that. It was a really good campaign, and you compare that to Call of Duty, like their campaigns and their multiplayers, it is completely different, and I hate it when people try and compare them, because even though they're two games in the same genre, their ideals are completely different. I mean, Battlefield is basically based on this whole idea of, you know, you balance out all of your forces. You have some armored vehicles, you have some helicopters, you even now have jets, you have this commander guy, and basically you're trying to get everybody to work together to achieve a common goal. Where Call of Duty is a run and gun. Like, there is some tactics involved. I mean, obviously there is an esports. There's a very big esports scene for Call of Duty. But when you compare it with Battlefield, it's completely different, because it doesn't matter what you say, you can't get a tank in Call of Duty, you can't get a helicopter. That aspect of the game is taken out. And because that is taken out, you can't compare the two games, really. Like, the only things you can compare are the things which are similar. Like, you could maybe say the gunplay, or the guns, or the way the character moves, and stuff like that. So, like, comparing World of Tanks to War Thunder, you could talk about how the tank feels, in a way. And in arcade, obviously not realistic or simulator, because as I said, World of Tanks is an arcade game. So you could do stuff like that. You could compare, like, weights of tanks, you could compare speeds, you could compare, like, how the gun performs. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really work, because when you think about it, well, in War Thunder, if I shoot somebody, let's say, what the hell happened there? That was a bit odd, but oh well, I'll have to look over that. But if you compare, like, what was I saying? Oh my god. Sorry, that really made me lose my train of thought there. But oh well, looks like I'm going to have to leave. But yeah, the fact that tanks have health bars in World of Tanks, in War Thunder you shoot at certain components to take them out, which are weak. Like, as I said in my review for the Panzer III, the early versions of the T-34, the driver's hatch is so vulnerable, and you can penetrate that with basically anything. In World of Tanks you have that too, but not to kill the driver, or not to knock out the machine gunner or something, but it's to take health off the tank. And that's why I hate it when people are talking about ammo in this game, because people are saying that APCR isn't performing correctly, because they're used to how it works in World of Tanks, and APCR doesn't work like that. But anyway, that'll be another topic for another time. So, give me your thoughts on that, and please give me some feedback on the tank review, and tell me like what I could change, or if you liked it overall. I mean, so far feedback's been positive. It has only been a day, so we'll see after about a week. But anyway, thank you for watching, and have a great day.